This week, The Strange History of Robotech. I'm joined by Erik Amaya from Comicon.com to talk about Robotech II, The Sentinels, Volume 1, the comic sequel to the 80s anime Robotech. Erik is a Robotech fan from way back, and I agreed to discuss this comic with him with zero background info on Robotech. Needless to say, I had a few questions. Why is it that the story can't seem to progress beyond a certain point? Who are the Robotech Masters? Who should I be rooting for? And more. First, as always, I'd like to thank our patrons for helping to keep the show going. You can pitch in by pledging at least $2 a month at patreon.com/deconcomics. This is Tim.
This is Erik.
And this is Deconstructing Comics. Welcome to Deconstructing Comics. This is Tim in Tokyo. This time joined for the first time by Erik, it's a little bit north of LA. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's still kind of on the hot side here in the Los Angeles area, so I did have to turn on my AC, which I was hoping, by October it wouldn't be necessary, but that's our reality now. The AC's basically on until November.
So I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the show before, but for some years now, we have had kind of a deal with Comicon.com where our episodes are posted there. Well, at the beginning with your predecessor, the idea was that you would put up the link like a day or two before it came out in the feed. Sometimes I don't finish it in time for that to happen. And I'm not sure even when you've been posting them exactly.
Right. Typically it's Tuesday. Let's see. This now here's getting confusing. We're going to add a third time zone because the site runs on Eastern time.
Okay.
And I run that article at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, yeah.
7 p.m. on Tuesdays. So that's like 8 a.m. on Wednesday here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, that's about half a day before it, before it goes up in the regular feed. So tell us about Comic-Con and Comicon.com and what you do there.
I am the editor-in-chief at Comicon.com. We like to call it the your comic convention online, which means we're doing interviews and reviews and some opinion pieces, which, are kind of our panel discussion if we're going to continue that metaphor. Basically Monday through Friday with a couple things on the weekends. That sort of thing where we're talking about the latest comics, and we do a couple other podcasts. We have the C3 pod that we do in conjunction with a couple guys from Pawn Stars, and it's a similar thing where we're talking comics and collectibles, and we love our tabletop role playing, we love our video games, we love our comics, we love our toys. We love all that stuff that you would find at an actual in-person comic convention. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the focus. We do occasionally run stuff on food, too, because one of our guys likes to eat some of that specialty stuff. And, it's better he takes that cholesterol hit than me. So.
Okay. I think the current site is probably doing a better job of being like a virtual Comic-Con than the old version. I think somebody else owned the domain before, like 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah. Maybe even earlier than that. I remember in the late 90s when I first started getting online, going to Comicon.com, and it was sort of, for lack of a better term, it was sort of like a band camp for like artists and writers. The idea was you wouldn't have to have your own domain. You could do it on Comic-Con and kind of have your own permanent table, which, looked great in like the mid 90s. That was kind of a cool idea because it was just, what your 56K mod modem could do, that sort of thing. And it was a lot of fun, but we like that it be kind of this direct thing now where it's a specific set of voices talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my memory of it is getting kind of hazy now, but 20 years ago I had my webcomic on there.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, I think I spent a little money to get it there, although it seems like it was maybe supposed to be for a limited time, and I looked back years later and it was still there. But I
Oh,
think
wow.
mine was just basically a link to my site.
Mhm.
And so I guess I had the feeling that, like, if you come back a month later, you're going to see the same stuff on comiccon.com that you saw before, where
Right.
now there's more turnover, more things being added, like on the front of it, so you can see it's changing and there's new stuff to look at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. New stuff. Hourly, Monday through Friday. Let's see what's our hours now. Because we do sort of have it like a broadcast day, so
Hmm.
it's hourly content. I want to say 8 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern
Hmm.
is what we've been doing, and occasionally you'll get one or two extra articles, depending on um, you know if someone's very passionate about something, then suddenly there'll be room for a couple extra things.
Okay, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, that's 5 for you.
Oh yeah,
are
yeah.
you the only person putting stuff up, or?
Thankfully, no. We do have a little editorial team. The one thing I ask of them is that they get those early things, scheduled and ready to go, so that I can do the Twitter feed. Like we also have someone handling socials for other stuff, but I drew the lot and ended up having to continue to be with Twitter.
Hmm.
So it's like you guys just make sure this stuff's ready for me, so that way the night before I can have basically through 11 a.m. my time done.
Hmm.
And after that, it's basically if there's still space, like 'cause some days we do get the entire day ready. Like it's literally what's the old adage, putting the paper to bed. Like that's
Hmm.
kind
Hmm.
of some days we got that, and other days it's going to be, oh look, we still need something for 6, and we're all waiting for an email like, oh, this is cool, let's do this. So
Hmm.
so it's a little bit planning and a little bit chaotic, which kind of feels like a newsroom, I guess, behind the scenes. I'll give you an idea of what it's like on any given day behind what looks like a well-crafted website.
Hmm. Okay. So you were here some months ago with a
Yeah,
friend, and
yeah.
we had a dinner together. And so then we thought, well, we should talk about some comic on the show. And what we ended up with, you suggested Robotech Archives Sentinels Volume 1. And why did you choose that one?
A couple of reasons. For one, this is actually the 40th anniversary year of Robotech.
Hmm.
Like Robotech
Right.
first aired in
Yeah.
1985.
85.
So sort of the thought was, oh well, let's do something that's kind of celebrating that. And then second, this is double nostalgia for me because this is the first independent comic I ever read.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, okay, I'm going to call the Archie's TMNT a mainstream comic because it is in color and it wasn't like your Walden books and your B. Dalton. Uh, this I had to go to my first comic book store
Hmm.
and specifically ask for Robotech,
Hmm.
and they had an issue not from this volume but the next one, and I was like, oh, here you go. This is the new Robotech. I'm like, there's new Robotech. Oh my
Hmm.
God. I thought I was the only person who really knew about this thing. I was looking for the old comics. But sure, I'll jump into New Robotech, and it's never really left my side since. That would have been like 92, maybe even 91 at this point.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, I'll always kind of wave its flag, which is the toughest thing in the world because Robotech fans are dedicated but few.
Yeah, I'd heard of it, but I never had seen Robotech in any form really. And so, right, so I was digging into some of the history. So yeah, it started as animated cartoon in 85. And it was adapted from 3 different Japanese anime shows that were kind of kludged together. And I was like, why? So Wikipedia says that the IP is owned by a company called Harmony Gold, and a German company called Revell had been making model kits called Robotech Defenders in the mid-'80s, and it was supposed to be merch for a DC comic series that only went 2 issues.
Yeah.
But then Harmony Gold also licensed the Macross TV series for direct-to-video distribution in 84. But then, we got a problem with the merchandising because Revell's already put out Macross kits. And so what they ended up doing was they put together this co-licensing agreement and so combined those 3 shows into one show to kind of mix all the IP together, I guess. And so the 3 shows were, Macross, with Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross and Genesis Climber You're going to have to say this word for me.
My understanding is it's pronounced Mospita.
Okay, yeah, it seems to be an acronym. It's all caps.
Yeah, and I guess it's like a portmanteau of more speed, Mospita.
Okay.
or like a weird transliteration of more speed. But...
Sure, that tracks. I live in Japan, so
yeah,
I can imagine that.
And it is a show about transforming motorbikes, so it does kind of work.
So that was the original Robotech, and then this comic came out starting in 1988, and it's kind of the next chapter, right?
Yeah, so, so Robotech was the biggest thing in the world from about October 1985 to December 1985. And because it was such an immediate success, Harmony Gold's like, well, let's do another 65 episodes. So they went back to Tatsunoko, who produced the original animation for all 3 of those shows. Even though it was different studios doing the animation, they were sort of the overhead supervising body, with the intent of, well, let's go do this. Let's do this major co-production where it's original animation that is meant for the U.S. audience, but made in the Japanese style and format. And from what I understand, there was a little bit of reticence on Tatsunoko's part to feature the Macross characters. And yeah, I'm going to pronounce it that way because we're talking Robotech, so Macross, not Macross.
Okay.
And that's why some of the characters are a little bit odd, and that's why strange choices are made from time to time. So everything's going good, and then this is right when, that economic boom happened in Japan, and so the yen was suddenly stronger than the dollar. And Matchbox, who was their toy partner, was like, well, we don't want to foot the bill for this. So they pulled out, whole thing fell apart. They produced about 3 episodes worth of animation before the whole thing was just abandoned. And the story got out there via a series of novels and these comics.
Okay, well, yeah, geeking out on Japan here for a second. Yeah, so in 1985, there was something called the Plaza Accords, where they made some governments made some agreements about exchange rates, and because the yen to dollar exchange had been just frozen. It was what, 360 to the dollar, I think, until Nixon floated the currency in the 70s. But I don't remember what the Plaza Accords agreed to, but after that was when, the yen at that time had been about 250, I think, to the dollar. And then it started really getting strong, so that, by the time I first came here in September of 86, it was 150.
Oh, wow.
uh, which is, now it's right about there again. It's been like about
Right.
147 for weeks here. It's been up and down over the years, but yeah, so that makes sense. That was when the yen gained a lot of value, like very quickly.
And being the Robotech fan, it feels like that was the moment that because this second show didn't get produced, that was kind of the end for Robotech. It's very much a nostalgia brand, and the hilarious thing about every subsequent Robotech project is that it's always incomplete. Even this comic book is incomplete.
So now this comic, and I guess there was also a novel series, and those were both kind of based on what the second anime series was supposed to be.
Yeah. So there are three, let's see how I phrase it, complementary versions of basically everything from the opening moment to the SDF-3 folding space to Tyrol. Like that stuff exists in animation, it's there in the books, and it's here in the comic. And it's funny being a fan and seeing the way that these scenes keep getting tweaked and reworked, and this is, I think, the closest to getting it right. The animation has some problems. The books, the guys who wrote those books were very much students of Frank Herbert, so there is a lot of interior monologuing. Which if you're into that, like, hooray, you're ready for the Robotech novels because they all have that thing going for them. And this I don't know, I feel like this almost has the right pace, although we'll talk about characters in a moment because there's some characters I'm just like, wait, why did you choose this for this character?
Yeah, so this is my really first exposure to Robotech at all, and as I was saying before we started recording, it's like if your first Star Wars movie was Return to the Jedi, you're like, what's a Jedi, and who's this guy who's frozen, and
Right, yeah.
because Empire Strikes Back left a lot of dangling threads, and if you don't know what the threads were, you're like, huh? So, and this, yeah, I mean, there's terminology that's not really explained. There's something called folding, which I guess is sort of like hyperdrive, or how would you explain folding?
Ultimately, it's more like like the Star Wars hyperdrive than it is theoretical space folding. Because theoretical space folding in science fiction and popular culture is the idea. Again, I'm going to steal from Frank Herbert, which is traveling without moving, which is you literally create this gravity well that forces 2 points in space to momentarily be in the same spot, so that the vehicle can then emerge on the other side.
So it sounds more like teleporting.
It's almost like teleporting, right? Yeah, yeah. Where the way that space folding tends to be realized in Robotech, it feels more like Star Wars' hyperdrive than anything else.
Okay.
Because there is the tunnel, there's the hyperspace thing, there's time dilation. It's very imprecise, but also I'm going to argue that's because Macross's space folding is also imprecise.
And then, like, in the explanation of the characters, it mentions a couple of characters who apparently used to be giants and are now like the same size as everybody else. And if you haven't seen any Robotech before, you don't need to know that because it's completely irrelevant in this book.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, those are things that are really only there because they're there in the cartoon, because the cartoon presumes you've already seen this stuff, so
right,
that Rita and Exodor were once giants.
Yeah. If you saw A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, then you need to know that they, some explanation. They've been shrunk down, okay, but yeah, if you're coming in here, you're never going to see them giant size or anybody getting shrunk, or what do they call it? Micronized?
Micronization, yeah.
Yeah.
Because human beings are referred to by the Zentradi as microns. Okay. I'm sorry, not microns. Sorry, that's Macross. Sorry, micronians.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Micronians.
Micronians.
In
Okay.
Robotech, it's Micronians. In Macross, it's Microns.
Okay.
Just to make it as confusing as possible. You're also dealing with the fact that even though this stuff was adapted to conform the three shows together,
hmm
the and I'm gonna switch pronunciations again. The Macross segment isn't that different from Macross. Like there's one or two ideas
Okay.
in the
What?
background that
I'm
are
sorry.
majorly
What?
different.
There,
Yeah, no, it's
there are two. There's a Macross and there's a Macross. They're two
yes.
separate entities. Okay.
There
Well,
are two
please
separate entities,
explain.
and I'm using the pronunciations to kind of differentiate them. So Macross is the original Japanese animated series, Super Dimension Fortress Macross, and all of its spin-offs. So Macross Plus, Macross 7, Macross Frontier, and they exist in their own ongoing reality. That has
Okay.
nothing to do with Robotech. But the first 35 episodes of Robotech is literally the animation from that first Macross show. So all
Uh,
the characters are pretty much the same.
okay.
I mean, some of the names are different. Where Lisa Hayes in Macross is Misa Hayase, but Lin May is Lin May. Captain Gloval is Captain Gloval. Britai is Britai. Exodor is Exodor. And because it's literally the same animation, and because the original idea was to just do a straight adaptation, the storylines are basically the same. With the biggest difference being in Macross, there's a thing called protoculture that refers to this ancient lost society that is probably the origin of both humanity and the Zentradi. Where on Robotech, protoculture is an energy source. And that kind of unites the three shows together because it's something that never actually has to be on screen. So that's how they did it. It's this hunt for protoculture. Everyone wants it, but you never see it because it doesn't actually exist.
Okay. So what's Macross?
So Macross is the first 35 episodes of Robotech, which is literally the same animation from Super Dimension Fortress Macross with some of these name changes. So instead of
Okay.
Misa
Okay.
Hayase, it's Lisa Hayes.
Yeah.
Instead of Hikaru Ichijo, it's Rick Hunter. And it's things like that. So it's the subtle differences that are the biggest thing. It's the second show, it's Southern Cross, that gets the most changes because that show doesn't take place on Earth.
Okay.
And for the purposes of Robotech, they kind of had to bolt it into taking place on Earth. So there are a bunch of
Okay.
shots of two moons that they had to keep cutting out of the show.
So yeah, it was a little one of many things that was unclear to me was if these people were from Earth or not. But
Oh wow!
I guess
Okay.
that they were because they were referring to things. Well, at least in this Now, was this? Sorry, this was originally done in English. This comic book, right?
Yes, this is entirely English,
And it
yeah.
mentions things like dimes and quarters and CNN, and like, okay, I guess they're from Earth. I'm not sure. Now, is this the future? Is this the 21st
This is
century?
the
Or
21st century, yeah.
okay,
So the Robotech timeline starts in 1999, skips forward 10 years for the events of what we're now going to call the Macross saga. And then this is 10 years after that. So we're about 2022 at this point.
okay. So not the future from our perspective, but
Not the future from our perspective, but from when this comic book was made, it was still the distant year of 2022.
yeah, and it's become such a disappointment.
Man, if only there were giants running around and spaceships and weird slug things trying to find flowers. Like if only that was our
We
future.
don't even have jetpacks yet, or flying cars. Oh well. Well, at least we finally got picture phones, sort of. We're
Right, exactly. It's not quite the way they always designed it, but it did happen.
yeah, it's not actually a telephone, but yeah, but we can see each other here, and we got better sound than we would on an old-fashioned phone.
That's true.
So yeah, the future delivered finally in that sense. Okay, so and so this comic started in '88 from Eternity Comics.
Yeah.
which closed in 94, and then it was picked up by Academy Comics for a couple years. And then what happened in 96 that it just ends there?
If I remember correctly, they lost the license, or Harmony Gold
Right, I did see
didn't
that.
renew the license, because I want to say 2 or 3 years later, DC Comics had the license. And instead of continuing the Sentinels, they went back to the Macross saga.
Oh.
And started telling a story from that perspective. Which isn't what Robotech fans want. We don't want to keep going backwards. We want... Okay, I'm going to skip to the far, far end, because...
Okay.
The original 85 episode Robotech series ends with the lead character in that last 25 episodes, Scott Bernard, leaving for space to find Rick Hunter. And the always excited narrator kind of teases, wait for this next part of the story. We basically have never gotten it. We got maybe an hour and a half of that story. If you read the novels, there's a novelization of what that end could be, but kind of, for a kid who was 6 or 7 years old in 1985, waiting to see Scott Bernard meet Rick Hunter, it's never happened. Because they keep going backward. It's like, what if we tell another story set in the Macross years? No. What if we tell this weird side story where all the Macross characters meet the Invid? Okay, but no. We want forward momentum, so that last story is like 2045. We want 2046. That's what we want.
Yeah, so Han is forever in carbon freezing, and now we're going back to Tatooine, and okay.
Yeah, to continue that metaphor, that's exactly what it is. It's Han is still in carbonite 30 years later, 35 years later, 40. What am I talking about? 40 years later, Han is still in carbonite. That would be really. You know what that is? That's Tron. That's what that is.
Okay. So, and that what I'm reading here digitally is published by Titan. I guess they're reprinting these.
Yeah, they currently have the license.
Yeah. Are they going to make something new, or just?
It's it's very it's intermittent what they do. They, like, a couple of years ago, I want to say 2 years ago, they did a Robotech Rick Hunter series that's set during those malcontent uprisings that keep getting referenced in this book. So again, we're still back in the past, because that's, I want to say 5 years prior to the events in this volume was the malcontent uprisings. And that book looked cool. And the writer brought in a character from one of the Robotech video games, and it's like, yeah, why not? He's there, so let's do it. And it was cool, but again, it's that thing of, everything is kind of incomplete. The story's never completely told, even if they finished this little slice of it with that Robotech Rick Hunter series. It's still, the major scope of things is still unfinished. And I don't know if Titan will ever get to the stuff I want to see, because who knows if Harmony Gold will ever let them, because the big stumbling block now is, for the last 10 years or so, the film rights have been at Sony, and Sony occasionally makes moves to make a live action version happen. But I think what they really want to do is a live action version of Macross. And the only way that happens is if they have all the rights in one place, which means also getting Robotech at the same time.
Okay.
And Macross fans, I totally get it. I know why you'd want a live action movie too, because I want it. Either way, whether it's Robotech or Macross, I want that movie. But but it's, and there is kind of a little bit of a tension between the Macross fans. Well, it's not even really tension between. It's the Macross fans hate the existence of Robotech, by and large.
Okay.
Because it confuses things. It makes it very hard to get the other stuff. Although right now, the other stuff's on Disney Plus and Hulu. Like, it just... Like, I started watching Macross Plus again because I saw it was there, and I saw everything else was there. Like, oh, I'm going to do a huge Macross run. Which was funny, because I had started reading this volume of Sentinels comics before I'd even noticed, and then I saw it. I'm like, wait, how does the machine know that I'm back in a Robotech frame of mind? That's weird.
Coming up, my two favorite characters in this collection, the Robotech masters who aren't even in this book, identifying who to root for, and more. This podcast is part of the Deconstructing Comics Network, where we're grateful to our supporters on Patreon. Patrons get exclusive extra content. Pledge $2 a month or more and get Batman 66 podcast Bat Bits, where we're discussing writer and script editor Lorenzo Semple's Bat Notes memo, in which he lays out guidelines for writing Batman scripts. We've recently also discussed a TV Guide interview with Yvonne Craig as she was beginning her run as Batgirl, early versions of the scripts for Bookworm and Penguin episodes from Season 1, and more. At $4 a month, you also get our monthly show Silver Age Batman, where I'm moving through the book Batman in the 50s issue by issue, discussing each story and sometimes laughing at them, with a rotating second chair of Paul, Emmett, Patrick, or Kumar. Follow our Patreon for free and get access to the first 2 episodes of both Bat Bits and Silver Age Batman. Check it out at patreon.com/deconcomics, and thanks for your support.
Hey, I'm Jen.
And I'm Sean. We're here to tell you about our podcast, Worst Collection Ever.
And this is the show where we tell you about the worst comic book collection in existence. And it just happens to belong to us.
We have some of the worst comics from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They're bad. Terrible. They're not worth anything.
No good.
Why do we own them?
Bad.
I own a number of issues of Terror Inc. and Guy Gardner.
Basically, we go around to local comic book stores and we buy everything we can out of dollar boxes.
We tell you about the weird stuff in them. We tell you about stuff that's related to them. We go into tangents. And we're very uninformed, so...
Oh my God, totally. But totally check out our podcast because you'll hear us just talk and joke about Marvel books and DC books from God only knows when.
That's right. It's our show, Worst Collection Ever, every Tuesday on iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcasts. Download, rate, subscribe, tell a friend.
It'll be good and terrible, but good.
So this book is the first 16 issues. Were these individual issues at some point?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Monthly, possibly even more than that. It may have been every 6 weeks.
Written by Tom Mason and Chris Ulm. I don't know these names.
Yeah, I don't recognize those names either. I'm more familiar with the artists just because they eventually became the writers too.
Right, yeah. Jason Waltrip and his brother John Waltrip. Yeah, and I saw that later they took over the writing also. And they write in a foreword here that initially when they were working on this, they were kind of bummed that it had to be in black and white, but they ended up kind of liking how it looked with the gray gouache that they used on it. And yeah, it looks fine. I'm not super excited about the art, but it works.
Yeah. Although I remember the blacks being more solid in the actual printed comics than this. This kind of has a photocopied quality.
It does.
That I don't think was there in the original published issues. I feel like the blacks were more solid.
Yeah, I did feel a bit like I was reading photocopies.
Yeah, especially whenever there's something really draped in shadow, like that. That stuff looked a little rough here, which I don't think it did back in the day.
Well, yeah, I wonder if that's actually what we're reading here, because I don't know what the state of the original art might be.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe their only choice was to take a printed comic from the 80s and make photocopies.
Yeah. I would believe that. Although, and then,
they don't go into that.
No, exactly. They don't go into the process. But then every so often you will get a splash page that just looks amazing. And it's pretty impressive. It's just a shame that when you flip to the next page, because they put so much effort into that splash page, it's literally just a close-up of Karen Penn being annoyed at Jack Baker. How about maybe a little bit more background than just the two of them in a white void? Because I don't particularly like these characters, and I need something interesting to look at, because it's the same scene every time with the two of them.
So I picked up some of the background here. So this Lin Minmay who apparently people tend to call by her family name, or is Lynn her family name? What's the story?
Lynn is the family name.
Okay.
I'm not sure why Janice insists on calling her Lynn. I noticed that too in the dialogue. People generally call her Min May.
Right.
It's very strange that Janice is calling her Lynn.
Right. And so she has a past with Rick Hunter. They used to be an item and they broke up, and now he's marrying somebody else. And I was kind of expecting that she was going to be like trying to break them up or something, but that's not what's happening here exactly. But she is sort of I think she's feeling like she wants to get back together with him.
Yes and no. I mean, that's kind of a rehash of what was going on towards the end of the Macross story, because she did sort of break them up before, and he did get back together with Min May for a while. And then at some point she realized, no, wait, you're a pilot and I'm a movie star. I need to go back to the entertainment industry. You should be with Lisa. She's better for you. So it is interesting to have her in a place where she's rethinking that, or she's nostalgic for Rick, which, back when I was 6, 7, 8, this was the most important romantic triangle of my life. It was these three characters. And reading it now, I'm just like, God, Min May's so dumb. Why did they characterize her this way? She's in her 30s at this point, and she's still being like a high school girl about him. And he's not all that either. He's, constantly doubting himself, and you even wonder at some point why Lisa's going to marry him, because he's so weird in these comics.
Well, and Min May's a movie star. It's not like she can't have her choice of men.
No, right, exactly.
And she's cute, and yeah, and she's also a singer, right?
Yes,
and,
yeah. I mean, I said movie star, but yes, primarily she is I guess pop star would be the right term.
And she sings now with this Janice M, who I didn't understand at first as an android.
Right.
I was a little confused about that. And Min May refers to Janice as her tenor. Like, generally cute girls don't sing tenor. Their voices aren't that low. But I guess if she's an android, she can sing whatever notes.
Right, exactly. And it's weird because the animation didn't get far enough to do the reveal. And I forget the way the reveal is done in the novels, but it's so weird that the reveal of her being an android is done in like a cutaway here, where you go from the previous scene to Dr. Lang plugging a wire into her neck. It's very strange that there isn't more build up to, oh yeah, and she's a robot.
So was Janice in the original Robotech in the anime?
No, she was a new character for the Sentinels.
Okay. Yeah, and there is kind of a flashback here of how Min May didn't initially want a singing partner, and then eventually she was sold on the idea. Okay, but yeah, it's not clear what I don't know, or what nobody knew at this. What's new to the experienced reader. Because I don't know anything.
Which exactly, that's the thing. Like, I wanted to ask you, it's like, what was your history with this? And having no history, I think, is even more interesting, because this all these characters are new to you. Where for the Robotech fan, let's see, it's down to, in this volume, Jack Baker, Karen Penn, Janice, Rem, and Cabell are the new characters. Everyone else is... No, I'm sorry. Vince and Gene Grant. They're also new for this. Okay. Otherwise, everyone else is basically from Macross.
Okay. Yeah. So, my eyes are glazing over just naming characters here. I actually took screenshots of the character introduction pages, so I could easily look at them. Although even then, it doesn't mention all the characters. Like, Janice is not on that page, I guess, because she's a new character in this. And also, Region and Regress, are they new?
The Regis is not new. She's from the last 25 episodes of Robotech.
Okay.
But the Regent is new.
Okay. Because, yeah, both of them are missing from that character introduction. But then after that, there are some pages of sketches, and they're both shown there with a caption naming them.
Right.
And actually, so Regent and Regress are the leaders of the Invid. I guess, are the Invid are mostly new here?
No, they're also from the last 25.
Okay. Okay.
So that's that. So the Regent, I'm sorry, the Regis and the Invid are from Mospeada.
Okay.
Like if you were able to stream Mospeada right now, you would see Invid Mecha, and the Regis's voice would be there. I think from the first episode, even though you don't see her until towards the end. But yeah, all those designs are established from the Mospeada animation.
Okay, so the Regent is new, and so they are like co-rulers of the Invid.
Yeah,
and they're also married. But this was my favorite part of the comic. It's a match made in hell. They hate each other, and I was kind of enjoying that somehow. Just how they insult each other and yell at each other, and like why are they married, for crying out loud?
I forget if the phrase "spineless little anachronism" is actually in the comic or not, because it is in the animation. It is one of my favorite insults. Spineless little anachronism.
So, yeah, that was enjoyable for some reason.
They are strangely the most like present and alive characters throughout these issues. Like it's really weird how everyone else kind of feels like they're on autopilot, but for whatever reason, whenever it's the Regent and the Regis screaming at each other or insulting each other, it's like, well, these people feel alive. They're aliens, but they feel alive.
Yeah, and the more human characters, a lot of them feel kind of generic.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could be in any space opera story, but yeah, the Regis and the Regent are a little more interesting. They don't even look like the same type of being, right? Because the Regent looks like an Invid and with the like long snout or whatever, and the Regis looks like, I don't know, like a bald Barbie doll encased in some kind of armor, I guess.
That's actually a really good description of what her design looks like.
And yeah, I don't even know how they'd be compatible in any sense, but yeah, I mean, and I guess there wasn't any like wedding scene.
Oh no, not in the comics, no. Although, I mean, they did like a Robotech the Origin book. I forget what it's called, but it's about Zor, the Robotech master that they keep referencing.
Okay.
And at that point, the Regent and the Regis are a single entity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by meeting Zora, they split off into, nowadays you'd probably call it divine masculine and divine feminine, although even though they're kind of weird mockeries of those ideas.
Well, yeah, it sounds more like a divorce than a marriage.
Right, yeah. And I don't think anyone involved in the show had that idea that we're kind of mocking those concepts, but sort of with 40 years of hindsight, you read these comics like, it's kind of there. They're mocking these ideas of these gender binaries, because the Regent's all, I want to destroy, I want to conquer, and the Regis is all, I want to evolve. And the most heightened form is bald Barbie doll encased in a weird piece of body armor. So that's kind of their thing, and that is true throughout until you get to 2045, when the Regent is long gone and it's just her and she invades the Earth.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of mention of the Robotech Masters, but I don't think I actually saw any Robotech Masters in this comic, so explain what those are.
Wow, okay, so the Robotech Masters are the creators of the Zentradi, They are the ruling body of Tyrol, the little moon of Phantoma that Rem and Cabell come from.
Okay.
They took all of Zor's inventions, robotechnology, to conquer the known universe. But at some point, the Zentradi rebelled against them, in part because of Zor's teachings. And their empire collapsed, and the Invid immediately rushed in to take control of that power vacuum. So all of the Masters got aboard their ships and started a very slow journey to Earth. So this entire mission, right, to go to Tyrol and sue for peace. Anyone who watched Robotech in 1985 knows this mission is doomed to failure because we've already seen the Robotech Masters attack Earth.
Okay.
Which, again, it's a weird choice to go backwards in the timeline when there are so many things you already know are going to happen, even though from the standpoint of these characters, they don't know any of this stuff is going to happen.
Well, I suppose that the powers that be are thinking we need to get more people on board, so we need to go back and cover the first part again. Because there aren't enough Robotech fans to sustain it, and then that proves to be the case, and then it goes out of print or it gets canceled.
I mean that's probably the business impetus to always go backward is well, we're trying to build the fan base, but at the same time, you get something like this where you have 16 characters that you're already presumed to know as the reader.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, like you said, the way your eyes glazed over when I started talking about the characters who are new, and it doesn't make a difference if it's Karen Penn or Lisa Hayes, especially since they're kind of the same character. It's tough to sort of introduce somebody to this thing at this particular point in the story. Because it does leave you with all these weird questions. What are the Robotech Masters? What is protoculture? Why are the Invid looking for the Flower of Life? How is that related to protoculture? Somehow I keep this all in my head while also keeping all of Middle Earth in my head too. So,
well, yeah, I mean, if you get in from the beginning and it's gradually explained, it's probably easier to remember. Where if it's like this mega data dump into my brain all at once, like, huh? I can't absorb all of this at once. So another difficulty I had was that I wasn't sure who was on whose side. Because, like, some of the characters who are ostensibly on the same side are kind of working against each other, particularly this General Edwards. So I saw him and I thought villain. And I thought they're going to be fighting him. Well, not exactly, because he's supposed to be on their side, but he's got his own ideas, which makes it a little more interesting, I guess. But yeah, it was confusing at first.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. In part because he is designed to look villainous, and he's depicted in very traditional villainy sorts of ways and poses, and he literally cackles in one frame. To make it even more ridiculous, this guy is loosely based on a character from an animated film called Megazone 2-3, because Harmony Gold had actually bought the rights to Megazone 2-3 to be Robotech the movie. And in their original concept, it was supposed to take place during the Macross saga. And it was going to introduce Jack Baker and Edwards. But at the time, Edwards was called, get ready for this, B.D. Andrews. Because the original character in Megazone 2-3 was called B.D. And that was just literally his name was B.D. Which stands for Bad Dude.
Okay.
That's not even a joke. That's literally what the makers of Megazone 2-3 were getting at with calling this character B.D., which was Bad Dude. So in that first version of Robotech the movie, this character is B.D. Andrews. Their distribution partner didn't want it to take place during Macross. Tatsunoko didn't want it to take place during Macross, so they pushed it to the in-between times. So the movie takes place after the SDF-3 has left Earth. So it couldn't be Edwards anymore. So Andrews and Edwards are now separate characters in Robotech. And Edwards is this cackling bad guy who I actually think is the worst thing about this comic because there's no sophistication to him. Like, he's so obviously the bad guy from his first page.
Just from the expression on his face. That's
just from the expression on his face.
Constantly
right?
in the sneer. And he's got like this big eye patch thing. And yeah, I mean, you wonder why the other characters haven't already figured it out and fired him, you know?
Right? It's very strange that with all the political power they seem to have, that they're not in a position like, yeah, Edward should just stay on Earth, or maybe the or even someone just expressing, no, it's better that he goes with us because what is he going to do if he's on the Earth unchecked? Which would be something, but it's not. It's just they seem to put up with this guy even though he's obviously the bad guy.
Yeah, it's like, you know, they haven't quite figured it out somehow. Like, we can trust him, right?
And here's the executive officer of our ground forces, General Bad Guy. and yeah, they oh my god, it is the funniest thing in this reread is seeing how everyone's like, well, yeah, that's just Edwards, but he means well. Meanwhile, he literally tells his lackey, oh no, I'm going to run the galaxy. This is everything's coming up Edwards. As soon as I have the piece of this Invid brain, I'm going to run the galaxy. And no one sees this. No one sees how bad this guy is.
Yeah, and meet our new employees, Darth Vader and Adolf Hitler.
Right, yes, exactly.
Oh, welcome aboard. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
Yeah, it is such a bizarre character. It's one of those things where if you did it now, you'd probably get rid of the faceplate, just because there's that undercurrent of ableism there in having your bad guy be disfigured. So you'd probably get rid of that, and you'd actually make it a little bit more sophisticated, where he is this guy who was a veteran of the first Robotech War. But conquest isn't his first idea. That's something that happens later. Or once he starts talking to the Invid brain kind of convinces him he should do this. Like, you could see how in modern storytelling this guy would be more sophisticated than he is here.
Yeah, less obvious. I mean, aside from the ableism, yeah, just the eye patch screams villain.
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Which is funny because Bretai in the Macross material had a very similar faceplate. And so that's why there's all that business about him having that new faceplate that completely covers his face and makes him look a little less sinister. Although they do eventually put him back in the old faceplate because the Wall Trips realized, hey, we don't have to pretend that the old designs can't be used anymore. So he actually goes back to being 60 feet tall and puts on his old costume and his old faceplate. And he is a better looking character that way than he is presented in this volume. Like the REF uniform and the full faceplate or the whole helmet thing. I think he's a weaker looking character. But potentially one of the weakest looking characters in the book.
Another thing that puzzled me, and maybe it's just because I don't know what's new and what's not here, but I'd taken a note on page 259. Admiral Hayes doesn't know what the Invid are. She says, Invid, who or what are the Invid? And it was like, did you just join this comic?
Well, see, okay, there we go. Because again, it's like you have the knowledge of all the scenes of Rem and Cabell, so now you know who the Invid are. But from her standpoint, yeah, she doesn't know about the Invid. No one except Dr. Lang knows about the Invid. And he doesn't know about them by name.
Okay.
So he doesn't know the word Invid, but he knows that there are these space crab monsters out in the universe.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'd been seeing them throughout the book, and so I just assumed that our heroes knew who they were up against.
Which is another one of those things where you think about, okay, if this is the continuing story for kids who are watching this thing when they were 6 or 7, they're also going to get a bit lost because they know who the Invid are. Why doesn't Lisa know?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Rick know? Why is Dr. Lang being so cagey about everything?
Haven't you read the script?
Yeah, right. and I totally get that. Yeah, it would be totally confusing why doesn't Lisa know about this? And it's literally from her point of view. This is the first time she's encountering the species. Is the first time that term has ever been said into human ears. But again, it's one of those weird things about the way this comic's constructed is the big moments, or let me rephrase that, the big story moments don't get the splash pages. They don't get, the really rendered moments. It's more battle scenes that get it. It's more, hey, let's show off this interior they're going to be using a lot. It's more those things that get the moments. And it's really weird that I think stuff that's key for the reader kind of gets lost.
Well, since you mentioned that, so around my notes say chapter 8, Minmay and Janice, like they steal a ship basically, and so they go, an EVA craft, whatever that is, and they're trying to catch up with what's his name, Rick.
Yeah.
With the ship that he's on. And there's some, like, they get close and then the other ship is going to do a fold, and then we don't see Minmay for like an issue or two, and then all of a sudden she's on the ship with them. And I feel, did I miss a scene? I was going back through the pages. I felt like I missed an issue.
No, there's definitely a scene where that Jonathan Wolfe character finds the EVA unit. And
right, it's mentioned, but you would expect then a scene showing the contents of the EVA.
Right? Yeah. Especially since they've already established that he has a thing for her, but you don't really get that moment either. It is weird that you have him floating into the EVA from his Veritech. I think he glances at Janice, maybe at Minmay, and then the next time we see them, she's waking up and sees Rick.
Yeah.
Like that's the sequence of events, and it is one of those things where this should be a moment because we're now establishing that because Jonathan Wolfe rescued her, she's going to warm up to him in a way that she didn't at the wedding reception. Because one thing I really like in this depiction of the wedding is the way she immediately knows that Wolfe is hot for her, and she's not into it. where in other versions, it's not played up so directly. I love the fact that you literally get a thought bubble where she's like, "Oh, I know that look," and she immediately finds a way to get away. She would rather talk to Britai, which I'd rather talk to Britai actually than Jonathan Wolfe, but. But yeah, it is again, it is weird that these moments that I think would have had a lot of screen time had they continued to make the cartoon, don't quite have those moments here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even see Inmay for an issue and a half, I think it is. Even though things are happening, and it's easy to kind of miss those mentions of the EVA out there because they don't know who's on it, and so they don't mention their names. And for the reader, it's a little disorienting.
And it's also, and this is the other thing I noticed, is the pace of these issues is very strange because it doesn't feel like you're getting an episode per issue. Right, so you even got issues where there's not really a cliffhanger to entice you to come back.
Yeah, it's just we
sort of stops.
We're out of pages. Okay, continued next issue.
Yeah,
we're just wherever we happen to run out of pages,
which is very, very strange, especially when they don't dedicate a lot of pages to fights or to space battles. Like it's there, but it's not the way that the animation story stops dead because it's time for the robots to fight. And we don't really have that here, which is reasonable because it is a comic and it would kind of be a waste of everybody's time if there was just page after page of robot fighting. Because Robotech is very talky. Those shows are very talky. Like, even though they do stop dead for robot fighting, when the robots aren't fighting, people are talking about their feelings or how much war sucks or how they've got to find the protoculture. And you're getting a lot of that here, where you're not getting the fighting, but you're also not getting the emphasis in the right places. So you'll have a scene where the Invid brain is talking to that scientist, and you turn the page and it feels like the conversation didn't actually end, but we're on to the next scene.
Yeah.
Now we're back on the SDF-3, and it's Lisa getting mad at Rick because he wants to resign his command, and like, I think the brain had more to say. Can we go back to the brain, please? And then we never do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so to wrap this up, since I already talked about what my favorite part of this was, what's your favorite part of this book?
Wow, what is my favorite part of the book? That is an excellent question. You know what it is? It's practically any scene or panel drawn by Jason Waltrip. Because I think John is the stronger artist, but I think Jason is better at capturing the likenesses of the characters.
Okay.
So they tend to be a little bit more expressive in his issues. They tend to be they tend to feel the way that the animation would have, right? Which is interesting, that it feels like that's his mission statement is, I'm trying to create the feeling of it, where it feels like John is more, no, I'm a comic book artist, let me make this a comic book. And being, having come at this from that nostalgia of, oh, this is the show that I loved in 1985. I want the characters to look that way. Also, anytime Cabell just starts nattering on about anything, I really came to love that this time. I really, really love the way Cabell just has no awareness of the fact that he's prattling on, and no one seems capable of stopping him either. like he walked away as my favorite character in this thing, just because I don't know. I feel like I'm Cabell at this point. So there we are.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the introduction to this, and thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely. It's fun to actually share this weird, kind of obscure universe with people, because it's, like I said, it mattered, and it did matter for about 3 months in 1985. I never really let it go because I never got rid of the toys that I got at the time. I never really, I've upgraded to the Blu-rays of the original animation at this point. And I do come back to the comics every so often. I come back to those novels. The end of the circle is kind of the finale in the novel version. I've read that so many times. Because this thing never quite goes away. And there's in the animation, there's a character who says this Robotech thing gets in your blood. And I think for anyone who was there at the time, it gets in your blood.
Robotech Archives Sentinels Volume 1 is published by Titan. Follow us on Blue Sky at Decon Comics. On Facebook, we have both a page and a group. Those are linked from deconstructingcomics.com, as is our YouTube channel, where our episodes are posted every week as videos of a single image. You can comment on our episodes on YouTube or on our site, or drop us a line at mail@deconstructingcomics.com, or talk to us. Click the Leave a Voicemail link on the left sidebar of our site. Are you making a comic? Send it to us and we'll do a Critiquing Comics episode about it. Our theme is by J.B. Anderton. The music backing the promotion of our Patreon is Change by Jazar. A while back we covered Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, belatedly, we cover the other big superhero movie release of the summer, Superman. Kumar and Emmett dig into that film next week. Till then, this is Tim, and thanks for listening to Deconstructing Comics.